I know for me, one of the things that I've learned over time is workouts and nutrition always go hand in hand for me. If I'm not working out, I'm not going to eat well. If I'm not eating well, I'm not going to work out well. That is how my brain operates, and I know a lot of people can separate them. I'm not one of them.
Today's guest is Rusty Boone. Rusty has been on Fit Father for 2.5 years, and in that time, he's dropped 50 pounds, built muscle, gained tremendous confidence, and discovered how to become his own hero for himself and his family. And today, Rusty shares some powerful insights about how he did it.
That has definitely been my phrase of 2024 is continuing to learn to be my own hero. If I can be proud of me, what I see in the mirror, the actions that I'm taking, if I can be my own hero, lesser those disappointments in my life, then I can be stronger for my wife and my children and those around me. I can't be strong if I don't believe in myself.
Do you ever feel sluggish or mentally foggy? If so, your body might be craving essential minerals that are lacking from our modern food supply. Well, I want to tell you about an amazing mineral supplement that I've been using for the past year. It's called Beam Minerals. Beam Minerals offers a superior mineral supplement packed with fulvic and humic acids, which are two powerful plant-based compounds that do far more than just replenish your minerals. Studies show that fulvic and humic acids enhance nutrient absorption, boost cellular detox, and support energy production. And unlike other supplements, Beam Minerals delivers bioavailable ionic minerals in liquid format, ensuring your body gets exactly what it needs. I've been using Beam Minerals every day as my go-to mineral supplement. I pour 1 ounce of their liquid minerals into my morning water, and I smile because I know I'm giving my body the research-backed minerals to reduce inflammation and improve my overall well-being. Upgrade your health today with Beam Minerals. Visit beamminerals.com/fitfamily to learn more. You can use code FITFAMILY at checkout for a special discount. All right, Rusty, welcome official to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Dr. A.
You know, this is fun. This is like a long time coming conversation. We've met each other in person. We've hung out. I've got to see your journey, and now we get the opportunity to share this with the brotherhood at large in the context of this conversation. So I am deeply excited about this because of our relationship. And let's kick into this by doing a little background on you, your name, your age, where you're from, and anything you'd like to share about your family and what you do for work.
All right. So as you know, my name is Rusty Boone. I am from Southeast Georgia. I am 39 years old. I am married with 4 kids, Anna, Josh, Austin, and Aiden. They range from 14 down to 4. I'm a technology director for a local school district, so I stay running pretty well.
And I also know that your wife, Jessica, has been on Fit Mother too.
Absolutely.
How did that work? You start first, she start first. How did you guys kind of find the program?
So I actually purchased FFP in June of 2021 on the Father's Day deal, and kind of read the material on and off for months, really. And then finally in January, I saw where you guys had posted a challenge. So January of 22, and I looked at my wife, Jessica, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to do this. You're going to do it with me. And to my surprise and pleasure, she's like, yeah, I'll do it with you. So around the 27th, 28th of the month, we're like going at it, taking before pictures, and jumped right in it wholeheartedly together, especially on the nutrition, and then immediately really with the workouts and the Apex and all that jazz straight from the get-go. So yeah, I was definitely fortunate in that area. When I brought it up to her, she was gung-ho about going in it as well.
Nice. And now, I mean, it's been a couple years. We're recording this in June of 25, which is cool because that means it's been 4 years since you found FFP, and you're now going strong on your routine. So how would you kind of describe where you're at today?
So today I have lost a little over 50 pounds total on the program. So 51 pounds. And then I think right now I'm sitting around 48 pounds, 47 pounds lost. The whole journey really started, like I said, January of 2022. And then by June of that year, I was down 40 pounds. You hear it, I've listened to pretty much every podcast at this point. So if you're listening and talking to the other guys watching in the brotherhood, a lot of people would drop a whole lot of weight at first. And I really didn't. I hit the consistent around 10 pounds a month, which was very good. But it was, in my mindset, I'm like, well, these other guys were doing, and I'm younger. And, but You know what? I think the key for me was building that consistency, getting that weight down, even though it was a little slower because, by August, September, then I was down the full 50 pounds and just learning to maintain.
What was your mindset like? Maybe whether it's like when you're at the point of checking this out in Father's Day, June of 21, or even the starting in January of 22, like what was the mental frameworks mindset that Rusty had at that time? And maybe we contrast that with where you're at right now.
So for me, I've always been up and down like a roller coaster weight wise. I mean, right now, my weight's sitting at, 180, 184, just, day to day. I am at least 30 to 50 pounds lighter than I was in high school. So I've never really been a fit guy until really getting into FFP. So I think for me and for Jessica as well, we were really looking at how do we eat well. Workout programs are a million of them out there. Pick one, stick with it, you'll do well. But the nutrition side and really trying to bring in overall health and wellness into the house was something that we weren't doing real good with, either one of us. And if you go back and listen to Jessica's podcast, you'll hear that on there just from what she was saying. So we were really looking for something nutrition wise. I wanted the workout program. So when I jumped into FFP, of course, it was all the Facebook banners and all the things that are, hey, over 40, you're going to do well with this, and I'm like, okay, I'm 36. So I'm getting close enough to 40. Either way, I want this to be a lifestyle change. So that caught my attention. Your story caught my attention. Having 4 kids on top of all of that just, made it, I think, just something to think about. So, for us, it was really trying to find something that would change the mindset for me. That roller coaster, I was tired of the roller coaster. I wanted to really learn how do I maintain, how do I build that long-term lifestyle change.
Yeah, for sure. And what the nutrition you knew was the deep unlock for you, like you had to get that nailed. The exercise was exciting because building muscle, it seems pretty clear you knew you're going to exercise more. When you start FF30X phase 1, the beginning of Fit Father project, what kind of things do you start dialing in that leads to the results nutritionally? Like what changes did you make in your routine? Like how did the structure flow in the beginning phase? And insofar as you can, let's talk about that, how that's adapted over time over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so nutrition wise, FFP, really hitting that shake up, that's been a great for me, as it is for most people. Hit the shake, that helps you bring that first meal of the day, whatever meal, plan you're on. As far as timing, me, it was always lunch. I fasted, did intermittent fasting until lunch, and I still do most of the time just because it works for me. That little bit of extra mental acuity that comes with that intermittent fasting does well with me. And that's something I've learned over time. And then, I kind of go back into manwich or some type of protein bar or a bowl of chicken salad or something, for my lunch. And then dinner, try to hit that perfect plate style, things up and doing that with the family, doing it with Jessica, really kind of makes so you get in the kitchen, you make one massive meal and then you can eat on it for a couple of days. And, so nutritionally that's where I fall in that. And then of course the workout side, if you're hitting that Apex 10, brutal it is for everyone, even being younger, I'd done a few things and I was like, it's not going to be that bad. And I think the very first time I did an Apex 10, I got up to 10 and I said, okay, I'm done with this one, but then the next day I did, or, a day or two later, I did it again and did it again. And then before I knew it, I was doing the whole pyramid up and down and really surprising myself on something like that. Cause that's a very high endurance workout. Adding in more walking, which walking was never really a huge thing for me, but it forced me to be a little bit more consistent. And I know for me, one of the things that I've learned over time is workouts and nutrition always go hand in hand for me. If I'm working out well, I'm going to eat better. If I'm eating better, I'm going to work out well. I am definitely one of those people that I need both. If I'm not working out, I'm not going to eat well. If I'm not eating well, I'm not going to work out well.
Mm-hmm.
That is how my brain operates. And I know a lot of people can separate them. I'm not one of them.
Mm-hmm. And man, talk about just recognizing that, stating that, seeing your patterns and the self-awareness of that. That's massive, because you can kind of hedge and see where you're drifting on one and how you need to tighten up and collapse that in. I think that's like, it seems like a subtle thing, but it is kind of subtle, but it's so powerful for you to know that. And I guess I want to take us through the last couple of years. Have there been times where you've had like a big hiccup nutritionally or exercise, whether it's an injury or travel or a little bit of like depression or sadness? Like, have there been some big bumps in the road the last couple of years?
So, yeah, I mean, and all that to be said, in the beginning, I didn't know that pattern about myself. Because before I had done workout programs and done them pretty okay, without the nutrition side. So that is definitely something I've learned on this journey. All right. So in, January 22 hit it real hard. By January of 23, I was definitely a solid 50 pounds down all the time. And I was really stoked at like, all right, I'm going to crush 2023. It's going to be awesome. Well, in the middle of January, I hurt my shoulder, my right shoulder. I'm not exactly sure what I did. Don't know if it was a lot of micro things up or what. Either way, I really hurt my shoulder. Ended up going to a chiropractor, and she did some x-rays to really see if she could see what was going on. And she's like, dude, you pretty much almost torn your rotator cuff. You haven't torn it, but you're definitely getting there. We need to work on some alignment issues. And so a few months of really working on that, and finally figuring out going to a massage therapist on top of the chiropractor work really started loosening some things up and reducing weight when I finally did get the courage to get back in the gym. But that was a several month hiccup. And I did have the nutrition to help me stay on track. So instead of gaining 50 pounds back, I gained, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And which was huge for me. So, I mean, when I hit, actually right before the retreat, so that was in September, I believe was the retreat, into September.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I was keeping myself, I didn't gain more than that, around 15 or so pounds. And I had the nutrition to bank on that. And by the time we got to the retreat, I was starting to heal up enough I could really do things. I learned I had to go back to much lighter weights. Don't let my ego hit me in the gym. And, but yeah, that was definitely a setback. And I had the nutrition foundation at that point to say, hey, I don't have to gain the weight back. I can keep myself in check. I know the things to do. I can walk. So walking became my new norm. I did a lot of running. I had to be careful with running because my back was at a place where at one point of the journey, and this was definitely the hardest part, probably in March, April, every step I took physically hurt in the middle of my back. Just the tightness I had in my shoulders and the knots that were in my shoulders from the injury just made it real. Even, like I said, taking steps hurt. But getting through that, the nutrition, learning, keeping that shoulder loose and keeping proper form in the gym made a big difference.
Yeah. And when you share that, I'm thinking about, there's always a way to frame every challenge. Like, you could look at the challenge with your shoulder and your back and say, I can't do X, Y, Z, and take it as a limitation, which in some sense is true. Like, you can't do X, Y, Z for this set of time, but you also have the ability to look at things and say, well, I am committed to my physical therapy rehab, nailing my walking every day. And that just has a positive energy that's still within the same constraints, but it allows you to focus on what is possible right now. I'm wondering, like, how that idea came into your own mindset. Like, do you feel like any of that came into play on either side, a little bit of negativity or focusing on the positive? You spoke to a little bit, but I think it's a valuable conversation because I know your journey is one of a lot of self-awareness, and all of us have our own mental stories and scripts that are running in our minds. So can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, there was definitely a little bit of, I'm going to say all of the above. Definite fear of, I don't want to go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So what do those boundaries and guidelines need to look like for me? Obviously, I could not physically do a lot of the workouts that I was enjoying the most because the MRTs are not my favorite. Running is not my favorite. I run only because my kids like to go on runs. I despise running really in a lot of ways. I do it and I've gotten much better at it. So I definitely went through pretty much every emotion at some point of, well, crap, I can't get in the gym, that which led to a little bit of stress eating. I mean, obviously the 15 pounds came back from something. So definitely just stress, and then you're disappointed in yourself. You're like, what could I have done? You go through that roller coaster of emotions, and then you do have to do exactly what you said. And I don't know what point in that, those months that I really did well, crap, I'm not going to let this whip me. I mean, obviously that happened at some point in there, or I would have just totally regressed. And I did. And I had, Jessica supporting me along the way. So that's a big deal. I also jumped on, I think that's really when I started jumping on the Tuesday night Fit Father calls. For anybody listening that's part of Fit Father and you're not on those calls and you need the support, that is a fantastic call. I still get on them. And so, just getting that support, talking to Kat, talking to Craig, having other guys to talk to, the Facebook group, my wife. And then, you're also kind of going through that mental stance of, I don't want to disappoint myself because then I'm going to feel like I'm disappointing my family, which has, led to a lot of self-reflection and growth for sure.
And that's where I feel like the value we gain from being on these fitness journeys translates to just being better people, better fathers, men, whatever role we're playing, but like just better individuals. And there's a concept that you've mentioned to me before that I think is very relevant to your journey, and it's the idea of becoming your own hero. Like, speak into that, because I think like you've probably heard in the community, I'm on this idea of like the hero's journey, the hero's blueprint, like this idea that we are taking on a deeper level of personal accountability and power. So how is this idea of kind of making yourself your own hero played into your Fit Father journey?
For sure, it's huge for me. So that has definitely been my phrase of 2024 is continuing to learn to be my own hero. If I can be proud of me, what I see in the mirror, the actions that I'm taking, the example I'm setting, if I can be my own hero, lesser those disappointments in my life, then I can be stronger for my wife and my children and those around me. I can't be strong for people at work, for my family, for church, if I don't believe in myself. I can act like I am, but I'm not truly strong in those areas, unless I'm being strong for me. And neglecting me, and whether I want to admit it or not, the fact of the matter is I was neglecting me before I took control of these situations and these things in my life. So getting control of my nutrition, getting control of my workout schedule and setting those times aside is causing me to be happier with me, which is making me my own hero. And if I'm going to say it again, if I'm my own hero, I can be that for other people, and especially with me having 4 children, being married, I need to be their hero, give them a good role model to look to. So maybe they won't go through the same things that I went through.
Yeah. And I think there's so much in that phrase that I think we can keep on riffing on for a bit, because it's really relevant. To be your own hero requires like that personal accountability and self-reflection, as you've talked about. It requires taking aligned action or recognizing what is aligned and doing it. But it also recognizes like being strategic and being the one that ultimately is figuring out what works. Like, a lot of people are looking for someone to be their guru, if you will, or to figure it out for them. And like, I think the heroic approach is being like, look, I got a problem. It's mine. And I'm in my power to make myself better and solve it. I'm going to gather a bunch of resources. I'm going to learn things from others, but ultimately I'm making it my own. So how in this framework, and if you do agree with that premise, have you been strategic about making this your own as your own hero, instead of just following Fit Father because, Anthony said do this or that or the other?
So I just looked it up in my notebook. I actually wrote down on September 10th of 2023, what does it mean to be a fit father? I was listening to a podcast that day, and I was out on a walk, and when I got back to the house, I grabbed my notebook and I wrote down to become my own hero. And I highlighted it. I, underlined it a lot. And then, without being my own hero, how can I be anyone else's? And then I want to become the best version of me That's an everyday moment decision.
Yeah.
And, going along with what you're saying, just learning to make a mindset shift of what are my actions going to do today? Am I going to move myself forward? Am I going to be stagnant? Am I going to go backwards? And so I am making those day-to-day, moment-to-moment choices to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's just solidifying in my mindset of being my own hero.
How's your vitamin D looking these days? If you're like most people, it's probably not great. Studies show that over 45% of adults are deficient in vitamin D. Why? Because we simply don't get enough sunlight. Whether it's because long hours working indoors, living in cloudy climates, or covering up with sunscreen, our skin isn't soaking up those critical UVB rays like it used to. And here's the kicker. Low vitamin D isn't just about weak bones. It's linked to fatigue, depression, and even a weaker immune system. And that's where the Mitolux Sun Lamp comes in. Mitolux gives you your daily dose of sunshine right in the comfort of your own home. In fact, it's designed to mimic the best of the sun spectrum, including all those important UVB rays and infrared rays to help you naturally boost your vitamin D, serotonin levels, and even your hormones. It also doubles as a red light therapy device for skin anti-aging. Just 5 minutes a day on the Mitolux can give you up to 4,000 IUs of vitamin D. So you're on your way to feeling brighter, stronger, and more energized without worrying about the weather or harmful overexposure to the sun. Ready to light up your health? Head to Mitolux.com and use promo code FITFAMILY10 for an exclusive 10% off your first lamp. Mitolux, get your daily dose of sunshine. And you're making actions in a couple categories, right? You're making actions with food. You're making actions with exercise and how you're fitting it in. You're making actions with recovery, sleep, how you're choosing to interact with the people you work with and your family and your friends. What kind of systems have you developed that are really helpful in any of those categories? Like, how have you been strategic in any of those categories? Like, what kind of I'm asking kind of like strategies in whatever category feels most relevant that has helped you show up as your own hero as best you can.
Yeah. And so, and on top of that, just even in my spiritual life as well, that's another layer on there. So nutrition, working out and fitness, spiritual life, being strategic. So you brought that back up. And for me, let's pick on food for a second. Mm-hmm. And this is a story I love because a lot of people are like, wow, you've got some great willpower. You're really sticking to it. And for me, I use strategic willpower is what I call it. And so, for example, at work, every month, once a month, we have a big birthday, almost a little birthday party with cake, sometimes cake and ice cream, but definitely cake. And it's always a delicious cake. You just never know what they're going to bring into the office. Our nutrition director, her mother or her makes the cake. And for example, one month it's a red velvet cheesecake cake, and it's an amazing cake. Mm-hmm. There's a Reese's cake, and there's so there's all these fantastic cakes. And one month I was sitting in there and I was like, I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to have a piece of cake today. And they're like, wow, you're not going to eat a piece of this cake? I said, I didn't say I'm not taking a piece home. Mm-hmm. And so I literally took a piece of cake. I put it on a plate. I wrapped it up and I brought it home and I had it the next day. Because that's when I had decided in my plan I was allowed to have my free meal. I was allowed to have that extra snack. It was when I was allowed to have it. And so I didn't deprive myself of that. I wanted that. But I was just strategic at when I had it. And I know for me in this journey, I'm having my ups and downs, times where I'm really locking in and then times where I do let, things go just a little bit, but I'm doing it intentionally, very strategic, building a plan. And I don't have it all written out. I just, I say, okay, on Thursday, I'm willing to, if I want, have a snack, or I can have a dessert, or I can have a free meal or whatever. But this is the day I'm going to do it this week. I just kind of look at the week, Jessica, and I talk about it. Hey, if we're going to be bad, then we're going to be bad here. And then, so I hold everything out to then. Yeah. But that's definitely my nutritional strategic side. whether it be a good meal or doing something like that. That's how I pull in just being strategic nutritionally.
And that's proactive. And you're also are expressing delayed gratification. Like even in that moment, there's power in saying, I'm choosing the cake, but I'm taking it home. Because the converse is you said you were going to only have that cake, let's just say on Thursday, but it's Wednesday. And then if you do have that cake, you're breaking your word, which
To yourself.
which has a ding on your integrity, right? And then there's a cascading effect that happens there that is far more than just the cake.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's where the regret comes in, and
Right.
then the self-loathing. And while I had the piece of cake, I might as well have a cookie that's in the break room
Yes.
as well. Whatever that roller coaster looks like for you, and that's just because you did one thing.
Yes.
Where if you'd have planned it, and I've had days where I went right in there, hey, honey, on Thursday at 2:00, we're having cake in the office, and that's when I'm having my cake. I'm going to have cake with everybody today.
Yeah.
But then I plan it, and then there's no guilt.
Yes. Dude, that is so important. Like I keep on speaking into this because I think someone's going to listen to this right now and there's some kind of unlock there because it's like those moments when we choose things out of integrity. It's not about the freaking calories of the cake. It's about the aligned decisions that beget more structure and accountability versus the guilt shame cycle. It's so good.
Absolutely. So, I mean, even this week, for example, we were out of state at some family's house, and we knew going into this trip that where we were going has, just killer restaurants and all that. So Jessica and I both planned as we were going there. We are not going to be eating very structured this weekend, but we're going to go and we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to come home guilt-free. So I literally spent 3 days not going wild, but at the same time, I did not eat something because I was going to feel guilty for it. Everything I did, I walked in with intention and enjoyed every bit of it. And then today I've had my shake and I've had my manwich and I've had those things today because I'm back home. And here's the thing, for this week, I've got some pretty heavy structure going on until Friday. Because Friday I'm going to be at a Braves game, and Friday I'm going to enjoy myself, and then Sunday we've got company coming in for 5 days, and when they come in, we turn on the smoker and we make homemade pizzas, and we do a lot of really fun things together. So again, I've already know what my next week and a half is going to look like, whether I'm being on point or not, and I'm walking into every bit of this absolutely guilt free.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to look like. I know what I'm going to enjoy. I know the things that I'm probably going to avoid that I'm going to make probably. Mm-hmm. But I also know the things that I'm going to totally indulge in because, well, it's my time. I want to do those things.
I'm hearing this and I'm like, I'm really loving this. It's just a little bit of precognition, a little bit of forethought is taking us out of this guilt shame cycle. And I also love that you do it with Jessica too, because there's alignment in your marriage and how you both are helping each other stay healthy when you're agreeing with each other in the container of your marriage. It makes your marriage healthier and it actually allows your marriage to be a supportive factor in your health journey, and you can stay accountable with one another. It's honestly brilliant. And I'm sure you're also thinking about like, there's some things that are, out of alignment that you don't touch, and then mitigating factors too. I imagine, like, okay, we're going to be making the homemade pizza. I'll try to get a workout in this day at this time. And just generally, just that loose plan that keeps you in integrity is so cool.
And learning things like a good weight workout is the workout you want to do going into a meal like pizza. So, I do. If I know, which most Friday nights we have pizza of some sort. So I know on Fridays I need to be getting a little bit more of a weight workout in that day because my muscles are going to be more primed for the carb load that it's going to get. And again, this is 2.5 years in at this point. It's been a process to learn these things. But now I'm at a part of my journey where I'm just habit stacking these things and making these, constant things as I learn more, listen to another podcast, and the micro learning that comes along with the journey when you're paying attention of things that you can start stacking. And that is one of the things, again, going back to being strategic. That is definitely one of my 2 pinpoints, I would say.
For sure, especially if you're here to want to commit to Fit Father, you believe this path works and you've seen it work for guys. The idea of even just using something like the podcast or videos of us, it's like taking a little vitamin for your mind every day that just gives you the nudge to stay on track. That's literally exactly what you're talking about. It's like strategic learning or strategic inputs of positive stuff that's going to make it more likely that you do all the other strategic stuff. It all stacks. It's beautiful how
That's
that
right.
works. Okay, so any fun non-scale victories throughout this journey? They could be physical, like exercise, workout stuff, or anything with your family, or trips, or any NSVs you'd like to share about your Fit Father journey so far.
So yeah, there's a couple. So at this point in my journey, since I started actually working the program hard in January of 22, I've run 5Ks at this point.
Nice.
And I would not have continued. So the first one we did that first April, the April of 22, and we have a festival here in town called the Blessing of the Fleet, and they have a 5K on that Saturday morning. So I looked at my oldest daughter and my oldest son, and I'm like, hey, do y'all want to run this 5K with me? And to my surprise, they're both like, yeah, we'll run it with you. So we get out and we run this 5K together, and we've created now a tradition in the family. We've run it, all three years since then. And then we've run a couple extras that we found and sprinkled in there. And this last one that I ran about a month and a half ago, Jessica and I went and ran together. We kind of left the kids at the house and we went and ran a 5K. That was fun. So and I despise running, but it's again something that I'm doing that's a little harder for me and a little challenging, do hard things, and get myself out. So that's definitely been an NSV for me, just having the ability to get out and run a 5K, something I'd have never done.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah. So others, and this has been a mindset shift, again, being strategic, just people that you haven't seen in a while. You're like, you get those reactions of, wow, you look great and things. And that's been a double-edged sword for me. And I wanted to bring this up just because it's an NSV, but it's also it's had positive and negatives on me as well. But it's the you look great, you're doing, wow, you're nailing this fitness journey thing. What are you doing? And one of the things that I'm realizing is, number one, you can't drag anyone along. Mm-hmm. No, they're not going to come unless they want to make that change in their life. They can ask you about it all day long. You can give them the information. And unless they choose to act on it, they're not going to do it. Everybody's got that personal choice. So anybody that feels disappointed or discouraged on you're trying to encourage somebody, you can't drag them along. You just present the information, and if they choose to come along, come along. But the other thing that I've had is the flip side of, all right, you're losing too much weight. And at first I almost started taking that to heart, and that was really hard. It was something I had to really process of, am I losing too much weight? I've never been this thin, so I don't know how thin I'm going to get. I don't know what my weight's going to be. I don't know what that true weight goal is, or my body's going to look like. I've never been this way before. Mm-hmm. And so, it's one of those double-edged sword NSVs. Wow, you're looking great, but you need to put the brakes on it. And it's something that I've had to learn. And Jessica, I think she would say the same thing of, are those people emulating what you want to be? And turn that direction around. Just say, thank you. I'm being safe in everything I'm doing, or I'm really eating more than you think, or walk somebody through your day if they ask and say, I'm doing great, and encourage them by encouraging yourself in those areas. I know it's just one of the things I've struggled with multiple times in this journey. I actually had someone I work with went to one of the guys that works with me and was like, does Rusty have cancer? And hadn't told anyone. And it's like, no, he's just working a program really hard and making some changes in his life. And as you progress in that journey, people are going to realize this is the new normal for you. You're not yo-yoing anymore. Mm-hmm. And then those things will change and become more encouraging, not only for you and your mindset, but even to them. So just keep that in mind.
That's great. I want to comment on that. I think it's like receiving judgment from somebody in that sense, like it's so multifaceted. Like I could imagine part of it is they feel like threatened by the changes you're making. Maybe they want to make some of them. Part of it could be they genuinely are concerned and they have an idea of how you should look and they think you should look and they're putting that on you. But either way, whatever that motivation is or the layers of it, you receive the gift of self-reflection, which you've described is like you get the opportunity in that uncomfortable moment to ask yourself a question. Is this actually a problem? Am I too skinny? Am I losing too much weight? And then insofar as you choose what is aligned for you, you actually create a stronger, identity or groundedness in your own actions and being than before. Like it's like every confrontation, it's kind of like strength training for the mind and the emotion in that moment. You get pushed into something hard and how you process it and what you do with it could be beneficial.
Absolutely, because I can't dismiss them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to dismiss what they're having to say. I mean, these are people that I love and I think dearly of. And so I don't want to dismiss those comments, but I do want to process them and be very careful at how I process them.
Yeah.
Take that few minutes and do the self-reflection. You know what? Where am I at right now? Do I look scrawny and sickly, or do I look strong? Am I eating enough calories in a day to sustain? Or do I look sickly? So take a few minutes and do that self-reflection, because if you do and you say, okay, I just got on the body fat, I got on a scale and it says my body fat percentage is, 5%, and I'm not going for some crazy stupid thing, and I look lethargic, then you know what? I might need to take a quadruple look here. But if you're sitting at a decent body weight percentage and your physique's looking good, and you're killing that 1,800 calories, 2,200 calories a day, then obviously you're not giving yourself nutrition. You're maintaining yourself. So, look at those things and where you need to be, and, really self-reflect. Am I building goals? Find another confidant, somebody to say, hey, listen, somebody made this comment to me and I don't want to dispute it or affirm it. Where am I at? And get somebody to talk to.
For sure. And then I think what you said is like checking in with one, how you're feeling, or do you feel energized and healthy? Is probably even more important than what you look like. And then two, it's also important to say like there's a trajectory to these journeys, just like any learning thing. Like it's progressive. There is a phase where typically you lose a good amount of fat and weight to get down and you're doing specific things. And then many guys do shift their perspective and their goals to start building muscle. And I know that's been a part of your journey. Like you lost fat, and then seeing some of your recent pictures, you focused on building a great amount of muscle in your chest and your arms. So it's like, there's also just part of it as well. Like there's fat loss, and then typically there's more muscle building that happens after that. Where do you see yourself in, like, let's just say 20 years? What's the vision you have for yourself, like physically, with your family, with your work?
So let's see, 20 years down the road, by then I could potentially have grandkids. So yeah, health, nutrition, I want to continue to learn and amp up that health, and continually eat better foods for my body, especially as I learn more. And, heck, we even started, grinding our own grain recently, trying to give our kids and us some better nutrition on the bread front. And so that's been fun. So to continually learn more about nutrition and amp that up in our lives, so as hopefully grandkids coming along one day, long time away, let's just throw that out there. Got a long time for that. But, if that comes along, I want to be that grandparent that can keep up with the kids, that that wants to run around with the grandkids. And, just as much as I did with my own kids, have that outlook on life where I am, I still want to go on trips and travel and do zip lining or hiking through the mountains or something that, a lot of people, when they start getting a little older in age, start saying, well, my body can't handle that. I don't want that to be in my definition range. I don't ever really want to make the statement of, well, I'm getting too old and my body can't handle that.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's something that I have to choose at this point. This journey has definitely taught me that, hearing other people building these relationships in the Fit Father community, I can dictate a lot of the, barring something crazy happening in my life, I can control the things I put in my body. I
Mm-hmm.
can control how much workouts and how much strength training and how much endurance training I do. And everything I've ever read says if you can keep doing those things and you can keep your body healthy, then you're going to be moving a whole lot more at 70, 80 and 90 than you would otherwise have been doing.
100%. For sure. A couple different topics I want to kind of get into in the back part of this convo. One is like, what's some of the benefits been of having, your wife Jessica being so on point? Like, what have you got to experience from her being on this journey, and also any props that you just want to give her because she's had her own tandem process with you?
So definitely keeping me on track. So props to Jessica for keeping me on track because she doesn't, she's, we're both very committed mindsets. Hey, I'm gonna do this. So we definitely play on each other in that area. You know what? I kind of want a free meal tomorrow night. Well, you know what? Let's wait till Friday, or let's wait till Saturday, or vice versa. One of us is always doing something, so we really keep each other accountable in that. And mad props to her for having 4 kids at the house and ensuring all the food's prepped and ready to go. I mean, she does 95% of that. And so it's easy for me to stay on plan when I come home and everything that's been purchased in the house or already prepped for dinner in the house is on plan food, whole, healthy foods. This journey's definitely taught us, shop the outside of the store, all the different things you're hearing online. I mean, those things are definitely true. I've learned to love Brussels sprouts. I hated Brussels sprouts before this journey. Now put me some Brussels sprouts in an air fryer, let them look like they're burnt and they're amazing. So we've learned the new foods that we like, and we've done that together as a family. The kids can definitely be drag-alongs. Sometimes the kids do really well with it, and sometimes they don't. But they're kids, and we have to remember that they need things a little different than we do. But we're here setting an expectation in our lives that I hope my kids are seeing, that they're going to follow into that journey. We're already starting to see some of those things with our daughter. She's 14 years old and she's extremely active in every sport that we'll let her play. And, so she's already starting to look at things. All right, well, didn't y'all say if I eat this, I'll probably do a little bit better, on running? Or, hey, I'm going to go for a run because I know it's going to help me in basketball. Or, so she's definitely seeing the things that we're doing, and she's not picking up everything that we're doing, but she's starting to pick out nuggets. And those are the nuggets that over time will hopefully lead her into a healthy relationship with food and nutrition and working out and exercise in her life. So she's not doing the yo-yo that I've endured in my life.
Yeah.
But she's got a healthy relationship with it. We have natural yo-yos, obviously, in a health journey. You could be bulking, you could be cutting, you can be, I just want to maintain a little bit for a while. We've got those ebb and flows that happen in our journeys, something that we all need to learn to recognize. And again, at 2.5 years in, I'm learning to recognize those things in our journey. But I hope that I can continue to build that for me. Jessica will continue to build it for her, and then our kids. That's really crucial for me, is that they learn that it is a journey, and you are going to have times where you may want to gain a little bit of weight or lose a little bit of weight or pack on a little bit more muscle, but they don't hit these, what we see in society today, and I call it the 50-pound yo-yo.
Yeah.
And I'd hope that my kids never have to see that.
Yeah. And like the only way you could possibly teach them that lesson is by modeling all of it yourself. Like that's just a lesson that won't happen in the context of a family where parents are just continuously heavy or unhealthy. Like the only model those kids will see is that. They won't see what a health journey looks like. They won't see the fact that there are these natural changes and undulations, but there's a way to get back on track. So I love it. Like
I hope modeling that they start seeing the, what's the word I'm looking for? The confidence that it builds when you start learning those things. Because even for me at 39 years old in the job that I do, losing weight and working out and being more muscular, and that inherently has given me a layer of confidence I've never had.
Yeah.
And again, the kids have to recognize that in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And if they're recognizing that, then hopefully over time they'll want to model that. And I know I'll never be able to tell them, son, you need to be eating this, or, Anna, you need to be eating this. They don't care what I'm telling them to eat right now. They're concerned about what they want to eat. But over time, as they get into more sports, like I said with Anna a minute ago, she's recognizing I need to be learning to fuel a little bit better to perform a little bit better on that volleyball court or on that basketball court. So those are things that I hope to continue to model.
Love that. All right, another question that's a different topic direction is, you were one of the guys that's been to one of our Sedona retreats. Like, what was that experience like? Like, let's speak into that, because a lot of guys might be interested, but they don't actually know what went down, or what your experience was like.
So Sedona was phenomenal. For anybody that's considering it, jump on it. It is well worth it. For me, we got out there hanging out with a like-minded group of people on every journey. We had a couple guys that, fitness has been part of their journey all along. And then we had a couple guys like me that are, have never been like this before. We've had the guys that were super fit and then they weren't, and then now they're getting that way again. So, having that like-minded group of people, I know for us, let's see, that was 9-10 months ago, something like that. At this point, we still have like every month bi-monthly calls that we're like we get on a call and just, all of us chit chat. And we've literally got a monthly recurring calendar out there where we can jump on if we've got time and communicate and talk about our journeys and the things that we have going through. But while we were out there, we did some awesome things. Cold plunging. First time I ever jumped in a cold plunge was in Sedona. That has been life-changing for me. I came home and built a plunge. And so 2024, I've missed very few days of plunging in 2024.
Yeah.
And so I learned to take that little bit of a step back and build a little intimate group of people that have become lifelong friends. You've become a lifelong friend. That trip really helped solidify that. Meeting Ben and Kat and Craig in person, that was awesome. The food, phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I love that too. I think we often think of, especially when we go on like things that we invest in, like experiences and trips, that it's just about the trip itself and what we gathered. But for you and the guys who are still, meeting, monthly, you've literally gained these deeper levels of friendships. And like, how could you put a price tag on that? Like, it's like, absolutely, right? I mean, all the value that comes from that, like, there's a real richness in our lives. So I love that you brought that up, and that's amazing. And, it's one thing to have the great friendships in the online community, and they're there. It's so clear. So many of us are deep friends. And then there's another level to it when you can be in person, literally, metaphorically, like break bread, go through experiences, get outside together, share intimate things in person. It's like a next level connection. I think it's really about connection. That's what I get out of Sedona every time. It's why I love going back.
Absolutely. You realize just getting in with that, like you said, the intimate group of people. We went hiking and did several things on that in that trip, and eating together. You really start hearing people's journeys in a way that we get a lot of it in the brotherhood. But when we were there, I know there was one night in particular, we were all, sitting outside under the pergola, and we were all kind of laying on the couches and lounging in the chairs. And we were able to really just talk about things. It was very therapeutic. I guess is a great way to put it out there. Just a group of like-minded people that are able to share their hearts and their journeys, and again, have a lot of the conversation like we're having now on, hey, this is where I've been, this is where I want to go, here's some struggles, here's my wins, but doing that in a way that is facilitating time relevant things. Everybody that goes to Sedona is learning to care about their health and wellness. And that helps that trip really helped reinforce some things in my mindset.
Yeah.
really helped solidify that, you know what, yeah, I'm not alone, even though I was already in the brotherhood groups and everything, but um, just really solidified the journey aspect, and
Hmm.
we need to be ever growing and learning what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and helping you pick up patterns and listening to other people there really helped me. And I know that was one of the things that I discussed earlier, was this journey is really helping me learn me. If
Hmm.
nothing else, I have really taken 2.5 years at this point and tried to learn who I really am. What are the things that I love? Um, and Fit Father's been a part of that, but it's also taken a lot on me just to say, hey, where am I at in these things? What are the things, what are the patterns of things that I do in my life that are making me win? What are the things that are not making me win? um, Doing things like Sedona help reinforce that in me.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I'm so grateful just in our friendship that we got to have that memory together, something I'll never forget. Beautiful. So in the very tail end of this, like what's some advice you have for new guys starting out Fit Father?
Oh, that list is long. Let's keep it simple. So, water, guys, drink your water. I know that seems very trivial, but I get my water in. And then as you're going through the nutrition and workout programs, don't let it overwhelm you. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. If you've got the overnight mindset and you know you need to make that overnight mindset shift, then write it out. Write out a one-page piece of paper that says these are the things I have to do every day. But if it's that incremental person, you do better about phasing things in, because I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And so, but if it's that incremental phase, start with your nutrition, start with your water. So day one, do your water. Day two, pick a piece of the nutrition, and then let that go from week to week. If you need to truly phase it in, pick one thing a week,
Yeah.
and then add in your walking. Walking has been key. I think the podcast where I think I realized how important walking really was. I was already doing it, but it definitely affirmed it in me. As I think Werner's
Yeah.
podcast, he talked a lot about walking, and that was when it clicked to me. You know what? You're making some major gains right now, and you're walking. So
Yeah.
start picking those things out. I'm not good at journaling, um, but I can figure out. Okay, I had a lot of wins in this week here. What was I doing that week? I can, kind of start deducing those things. So I've been learning over time, when you do have a month that you did really good or a week that you did really well, jot down the few things that you were doing. Go back and listen to some podcasts if you have the time. A great time to listen to podcasts, just throwing this out there, is when you're walking.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I listen to podcasts when I walk. And I re-listen to the ones that I feel like had really good nuggets in it that made a difference for me. And then take those nuggets, pay attention to your patterns, the things that you're doing well. If you're not doing well, um, then see what you need to do to adapt. Don't be scared to email in to the coaches. I see guys even in the group. I don't want to bother the coaches. Guys, they want to be bothered. Kat wants you to email. Ben wants you to email because they want you to succeed. Dr. A wants you to succeed. I can say that just, the heart of you guys. That's one thing I definitely learned about you and Sedona, is that you're genuine in wanting to see people succeed. Um, you know, Father, I think, obviously this is your source of income, but I also think you've got that genuine heart behind you of everything that you've been through that led you to start it. Hey, I want to see people succeed. I want to hear your success, and I want to help you through the struggles. Again, being in Sedona was definitely eye opening for me. It kind of let me see who you really were in all of that.
Yeah. I love that.
So I guess those are my few nuggets just offhand.
Yeah, and I guess the same question for more of a veteran mindset. Like, what's top of mind in terms of sharing for guys who've been around for your amount of time, maybe even longer? What's important to think about?
For me, micro goals have been something that I've really started this year. So I started my year off this year with a 75 hard, semi modified,
Mm-hmm.
75 hard, and I did. I I don't have time to do as much working out as I'd like. So instead of 2 45 minutes, I did 2 30-minute workouts every day, which is still pretty awesome. And they ended up being like 1 30-minute and 1 45-minute workout every day, and then really dialed in my nutrition for 75 days. But I say that to say, pick some short-term goals, and then what's it going to take to hit that goal? And I know for me, I'm finding micro challenges work for me. So I did 75 days then. I've done a 45-day one. I'm about to start a 75-day one when we get through the next couple of weeks. Just doing some little micro goal setting challenges for myself. Challenges make me successful.
Yeah.
Because again, we're going back to what we talked about earlier, that I have found very key to me, that integrity. So if I set a challenge for myself, something that I discuss with Jessica and I discuss with a couple friends, hey, I'm going to do this challenge and I need you to help keep me accountable on it. If I'm not doing it, let's find out why and let's address that. Find somebody, whether it's your spouse or somebody else. I kind of do both. So one of the things that I did this year too, that I feel like made that first 75-day challenge I did extremely successful, is I had one friend specifically. As a matter of fact, right before Christmas, we started doing 100 push-ups a day. And we're like, hey, for the first 75 days or first 45 days, I think is what we originally talked about, of 2024, let's do 100 push-ups a day. Well, we started it inherently a little early. I think a little bit of egos had to play into that just a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. So I believe on Christmas Eve, we started doing 100 push-ups a day, and that was open-ended, but every day we sent a little text message back into 100. Mm-hmm. If I didn't get the 100, I knew it was coming, which means I needed to get it out there too. So there was no other, hey, I got all my stuff in. There was no long journal entry. It was literally just 100. If I sent the 100, that means I got them all in. If I didn't send the 100, then I didn't get them in. Well, he wasn't going to send it first. So we had a competition, just a little micro competition going on. Hey, I got my 100. And then if I hadn't had my 100 in, it was either my reminder or my kick in gear, and I would drop and get my 100 in. And so I'll be doggone if he was going to send me that 100 and me not be able to reciprocate.
Yeah.
And so finding just that little bit of accountability, veterans, most of us hit that goal, but we want to sustain. Learning to sustain is the hard part to truly sustain. I mean, we can sustain, but, we might let some working out fall off, or we might let the nutrition slide a little bit, and we might stay at the same weight. But I know for me, I'm having to keep the mindset of I want to improve.
Yeah.
I feel like through this journey that I've realized motivation is the, what's a good way to say this? Motivation's not real from the standpoint of, I have to be motivated to do something. Motivation's real from the standpoint of, if I choose to take action, then I'm inherently being motivated.
Yeah.
And even when I don't want to do something and I have no motivation to do it, taking that first step starts creating that inherent motivation.
Yeah.
I think what I said makes sense. I know it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Motivation is created. It's not something you just have, and it's created by even the smallest action. I mean, it's so true.
That's right. Because your first 30, 60, 90 days of FFP journey, or any type of journey, you're riding on the high of, I'm seeing major changes, and you're riding on the high of, it's something I want to do. I want to make changes, kind of like New Year's resolutions, but that's going to fade, and it's going to fade. I mean, I'm going to say within the first 6 months to a year. I mean, it's just going to that type of motivation, the adrenaline-based motivation, I guess is what I'm going to say. Adrenaline-based motivation and long-term success motivation are different in my mindset. It takes steps and actions and personal recognition to create long-term motivation by action steps versus I'm inherently motivated because I'm seeing all these great things happen.
For sure. And
I'm excited, motivated.
Those containers of challenges is a strategic action that gets you into action. So it's
That's
like
right.
one bucket. So, I mean, Rusty, so much wisdom in here. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed this one. There's a lot of things. I think this is going to be one what many guys who are doing similar to you, listen to these podcasts while walking, will want to re-listen to this one to let a couple of these things sink in. Man, you are a walking example of Fit Father Project. Like, you're your own hero. You're seeing great results. And I know in some sense, right, if we look at the timeline of your life, you're just getting started, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, is I'm just getting started. And I want to be exactly what I said through here. I want to be my own hero. I want to look at myself when I'm 80. I want to be able to look back and say, you know what? When I was 36 and decided to make this change, the day I turned 37, really, rushing those changes in it and learning to self-motivate and things that it was such a crucial time, because then I've lived a full life.
For sure. Well, thank you for this conversation today, for all your wisdom, and for being an integral part of this brotherhood. Like, from me, I speak for our entire team. Dude, we love you. Thank you for sharing what you did today. This is going to inspire so many guys, and we're excited for many more memories with you in the years ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Fit Father Project podcast. If you love what you heard, please rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. It really helps spread this show to more men who need this valuable info. To watch full video episodes of this podcast and other motivational videos to inspire your training and more, visit our Fit Father Project YouTube channel. It's free, and everything's made for busy guys over 40 like you. Visit youtube.com/Fit Father Project to get access to our entire video library. And finally, if you or someone in your life is interested in becoming a fit father or needs help losing weight, building muscle, and living healthier after age 40, then visit fitfatherproject.com, where you can see our proven programs, supplement line for guys 40 plus, and free meal plan and workouts to get you started. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi signing off. I'll see you in the next episode.